live on YouTube. Please, please, please work.
Ding ding. Jeanette Nathan.
7 minutes, guys.
Niall's here. Oh, she's on the iPhone tonight. Not her,
We're live on YouTube.
Live on YouTube. Cool. I'll stop calling you names then.
Yes, please.
Oh, my screen's frozen. Okay. Oh no, my screen's frozen. What have you done?
I haven't done anything.
Can't be my fault. Must be your fault. Okay, I'm going to go here and escape. Oh, probably should shuttle my emails down. And then I'm going to put it back up again. Yep, it's working. T-O-T-A. What that is? Ha, Mr. Broughton's here. Hey, Bert.
Yo!
My PowerPoint keeps on freezing up. I think it's when I do other things.
Oh, have you got two screens running?
3, because I'm Speethel.
That'll do it, right? 3?
I'm Speethel. I've got my laptop up. I've got the 2 screens. I got the 2 screens and the lappy, because I'm Speethel. Hey, Pans, I'm going to open up the Zooey, eh?
Right.
Are you okay to carry on in Panic?
Yep. I've almost got it, I reckon.
Cool.
Got a hui with Terina and John after this.
Cool. What time?
8:30.
We're live.
Oh, that's cool. Oh,
We are.
boy, did you break it again, man?
We are live on Facebook and YouTube
Oh, no.
and now Zoom.
Why are we doing that?
Gee, are you starting to spoil us, Panya?
I think so.
Kia ora whānau. Hey, it's Anthony here. We're just opening up the waiting room and letting everybody in. So by all means, have a look at the PowerPoint data that we're streaming at the moment. You know, the one that's just frozen up again.
Sorry, bro.
You know, because that's how we roll. Hey, boy, bro, can you open up on the what do you call it? The Zoom waiting room?
On the Zoom what?
Can you do the Zoom waiting room? Oh, you
I done it.
Okay, I'm going to close it. I'll close my one because it's freezing up my screen. Because I'm blaming you for my failings.
Okay.
Yeah, it's working. Hey, some good numbers again, Boyd. Oh, kia ora whānau. We're just waiting for 7 o'clock to roll around. And then we'll start the Zooey tonight. But hopefully you can all see the PowerPoint presentation with some of the info from the last couple of days.
Do you use Anthony?
Yes.
Do you use some of
sorry.
Rawari's stats?
Some of them I do because they're a little complex. I generally use the easy to read ones. But Yeah, actually, if you want me to start using his stuff, I can.
Yeah, might be good.
Yep. As long as he doesn't charge us for it. Or maybe I should charge him for using his stuff. Yeah, these graphics here, I find the easiest to sort of read. They're from the Herald site. But, you know, we won't talk about the Herald. But yeah.
That'll Yep.
Here it goes again, frozen.
Where am I?
Kia ora.
Kia ora. Kia ora whānau.
We've got much to cover tonight, mate.
Was it, bro?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so it's frozen up again. It must be raining again.
Frozen.
You might have a bug.
No, it's top-notch equipment we got here. It's professional equipment, high-end technology
Yeah, okay.
from the warehouse stationery.
Aye.
We'll call it cost-effective equipment. Okay. Boyd, you waking up? Oh, hang on. Did he tip? Oh, yeah.
Apologies. You ready to go, bro? It's only 7 o'clock now.
Start on time. That'll be a new thing for us.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's try that. Tīmata ki te karakia, no reira kia ino tātou. Kia tau iho ngā tauwhirotanga me ngā raupita mō te wāhinga ro ki rungi a tātou. Tātou no te mātātahi e pīkoko ana ki ngā tika mō te ao Māori.
Yes, I know these.
Tātou i tō tātou nei whai, ka whai te ara tika, i te ara Hauora, ke panuku e ke tangaroa. Haumi hui e tāki e. Tuatahi rā nei ka mihi atu ki a rātou, ko wheturangi tia, ko we atu ki te pō. Rātou e mene mai nei ki a tātou te hunga ora. Ngā mate o tēnā o tātou. Kia haere uti atu rā. Hoki tika anō ki a tātou te hunga ora, te hunga e kawe tonu i ngā tika ngā kura mga kuima, te hunga morehu me ki, e whawhai tonu nei, mo tō tātou nei reo, me ona tini tika ngā tāhua, puta noi te motu. Anō reira nei te mihi atu ki a koutou katoa ko tai, rorohiko nei, ki tō tātou nei hui. Anō reira, ka reo i te whakararu i tō koutou taringa ki tēnei reo maroke, nei ka tika me mihi. Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Kei a koe, Anthony.
Kena mai tātou whānau, ko tāno ki te wā, kia tuku a tātou e zui i tēnei pō, no reira kia tauterangi Māori, kia tātou katoa. Kia ora everybody. I guess, you know, everyone knows the drill. If you've got any questions, chuck them in the chat box tonight. Just to let everybody know that we have the updates from our partners and our PSGs and other providers that are with us. So you'll hear from Te Riohau, Te Roroa, Patuharakeke and Maunga Whakehi tonight. After you've heard from the great one, Boyd. After that, we're going to get Tyron to come on and have a kōrero about the tangihanga process as well, just to round off the night. So lovely to see you all again. And again, like I said, any questions, chuck it in the chat box, and we'll go over the Q&A at the end of the session tonight. Kia ora whānau, back to you, Boyd.
Thank you, Anthony. I actually just sent you a message to say I'm happy to go last tonight.
Oh, okay.
No, I can go. Kia ora tātou. We're pretty much doing the same as we're doing, but what I wanted to talk about tonight was last week we didn't have as many kai packages delivered to our whānau. And I don't think that's right. I think we are maybe missing some whānau who are in need of kai. So I wanted to put a plea out to all of our whānau, if they know of whānau who are desperately in need of kai, please do get in touch with us yourselves to pass on their details or ask them to phone us on the 0800 Mai Te Ha phone number. Because I don't think that's an accurate reflection of what's happening out there, because we are having reports of more unemployment starting to occur or starting to impact on our whānau. So we really want to ensure that our whānau who are in need are being looked after as much as possible from us. That was probably the main one. The second one is just around, as we move to the different alert levels, many of our services have continued throughout the different alert levels already. And many of our many of our business as usual, our services, our core services will continue to be delivered remotely. But we do have some face-to-face starting to reoccur, and that's with if we have made clinical appointments for our mental health and alcohol and other addiction services. We'll be trying to do face-to-face sessions where we can. However, we are still offering our services on the Zoom and on the internet. So I will, if whānau haven't already connected to our Facebook page, which is just Te Hauora, please do so, because we are trying to get our rangatahi involved to have their voice heard. We've got a current project going on at the moment from last week. I think I may have already mentioned it, about tamariki just sharing their pepeha in the most creative way that they can. And so we want to get in our rangatahi to do that. And that's the first step, is to get them to all introduce themselves into the kaupapa. And then following that, we are going to start asking them how they've been impacted by the lockdown, by the alert levels and the different kaupapa that have happened over time, and also how they would have done it differently or what they would like to see in the future. So that's some of the stuff that we've got going on. We are also wanting to know, because we've got a whole lot of emergency hygiene packs that we still need to deliver. So we need to ensure that we have the right people that we're delivering those to. There have been a few whānau who have already suggested that they don't need them, and for us to deliver them to whānau who are more deserving and more needing. So we need to ensure that we're making our deliveries of kai and hygiene to the right people. But I really want to plead for all of your help to get make sure we are servicing those people. That's probably all I've got tonight that's new. We're going to get an update from Tyrone, I believe, about the government's fiasco in handling our hui mate and tangihanga, and the lack of respect and intelligence in the way that they've dealt with that. They backtracked already today, and we will get an update from Anthony and Tyrone around how the runanga is going to support our whānau moving forward for tangihanga. And Anthony will start, I think you'll share more about the marae initiative that we are trying to support our marae for. Would that be right, Anthony? Yep. Anthony will speak on the marae. We are going to start trying to do some initiatives in developing our marae and basically trying to ensure that within Te Rohe o Ngāti Whātua, the whānau, the hapu, the iwi are resilient. So if something emergency like this happens again, then we are able to progress and look after our people without having to rely on the Ministry of Social Development, Ministry of Education, but we have our own resiliency within our own people, whānau, hapu and iwi. So that's some of the stuff that we are looking forward to moving forward, moving out of the recovery process and going into a resilience process and phase. I'll hand it over back to Anthony if there's any questions.
Kia ora, bro. Hey, we'll get straight into it, whānau. First, Ali, can I get you to check your chat, please? Yes, please. First, we're going to talk to whānau up in Te Roroa. Matua Snow couldn't make it tonight, so we've got Sapphire. Kia ora, Sapphire, how are you? We might have some connection problems. Okay,
Kia ora, can you hear me?
hi, kia ora.
Oh, kia ora, thank you. I'm good, thanks, Anthony. So up our end, we're still delivering kai hygiene packs and firewood. We're working with Te Hauora, they're supplying the hygiene packs to distribute out into our location area, which is from Waimamaku down to Dargaville. The last 2 weeks, we've seen an increase of kai pack requests and hygiene pack requests, but this week not so much. So we're looking like we're trending downwards. We're also working, there's been a lot of requests for support through whānau direct. So we're working with Ngāti Whātua to get those application for funds through for urgent support. And we are looking at having a community testing station up in Waipawa in the coming weeks through Te Hauora. So for the next few weeks, we're also looking at what the community needs are and how to resource that need with the information that we've collected so far. Apart from the kai and the hygiene and the heating, there's some real issues with whānau who don't have working appliances for cooking, refrigeration. You know, a lot of the whānau are living off the grid. So we're looking at planning to help get whānau into a suitable situation going forward.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's me. That's me, Ants.
Cool. Thanks, Sapphire. Yeah, just to support what Sapphire's saying, you know, there's a lot of work going on at Te Roroa and in the top end up in Waipawa. And like Sapphire said, very soon the mobile unit, the CBAC, the community-based, come on, Boyd, help me out, CBAC. Oh, mate, it's been a long week, you know. CBAC, the
Community-based assessment centres.
Community-based Assessment Centre. We'll be heading up into the forest over the next couple of days or next week. So please take advantage of it. You've got the number for Te Roroa, you've got the number for Te Ha, 0800 My Te Ha, 0800 MYTEHA. So kia ora, Sapphire, I really appreciate that. And I just want to acknowledge the support that we're working together. It's been really, really cool.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
I mean, kia ora. Moving on, Miss Moriarty. How are you?
Very good, Mr. Thompson. Kia ora koutou katoa. Pretty much the same as Sapphire. We're continuing to deliver the hygiene packs, and we haven't had a huge request for kai, which is surprising. But we've had it already in terms of vouchers and that way of providing kai, but we haven't had a huge uptake on that. So it's either that I know our whānau get really shy and whakamā about asking. So often we don't ask, we just say, here, you know, go and get you some kai. So they're not put in that position. But still, yeah, not a lot of whānau needing that. They're saying that they're okay, that they're coping well. So it's this time there's been some positives that have come out of this lockdown period, actually, in terms of our whānau's been able to spend more time together. Yeah, sometimes that's not good, but actually it's been okay. And I think our babies are liking having mum and dad at home. You know, they're probably ready now for dad and mum to get back to work, but they've been doing really well during this time. So far, so good. In terms of the rest of our settlement trust, Studio Settlement Trust, our nursery is on track to produce 800,000 plants for the season. So yeah, they've been doing really well. All the staff there are back to full-time work. They've also got, well, a commercial arm, or the nursery, and the nursery have got NXT. Now, please don't ask me what that means, because I don't really know. It's our commercial arm, but they're working in collaboration with someone else, and the project is to supply, deliver, and install 65,000 plants over the next 2 planting seasons. But the nursery is tendering out the planting and maintenance for that work, for that project. So they're inviting all planting and landscaping parties to who are interested in tendering to apply. So if you know of anyone and you're interested, you can contact Sesha Perkinson at our office, and her whakapapa connects to Poto, to Waikaretu. And they've got a few other shovel-ready projects on the go, and not much that I know about, because I do the people side of things, but they've been really busy trying to work on projects for post-lockdown, so looking at economic recovery and employment is a biggie. So they're looking at big projects to create jobs for our people. So yeah, that's exciting. So that's pretty much all I've got to update tonight, whānau. So yeah, kia ora.
Thanks, Tans. And, you know, whānau, again, the work that Te Reo Hau are doing, especially around our automata area, it's been really cool. And we're working in just trying to get things done. I think, Tans, yeah, just getting it done. With RGL, Renaissance Group Limited, I think there's an opportunity for whānau or Te Reo Hau whānau to look at other employment opportunities based in and around Mangawhai through to Kaiwaka and the Brenduans.
Yeah.
So yeah, kia ora, Tans.
Can I just, sorry, IKHMG and William, or his mum likes to call him, or Willie, right?
William, who's William?
I know.
I wanna tell him
I keep running from Whaia Wikitoria if I call him Willie. But he manages Integrated Kaipara Harbour Management Group, and they've got a vacancy at the moment for a senior administrator. So if anyone's interested and sees the ad, go for gold.
Is that on the website, that job?
I'm not too sure. I can send you or someone the ad or the link. Yep.
Yep. If you send it in, I'll send it out online, and we'll check it on the Facebook page too, whānau, along with the details for the Te Arai nursery.
Yep.
Cool. I mean, kia ora, Tans. We'll head on over to Parafo and Patu Harakeke. Kia ora, mato peana.
There hasn't been that much changes. Our deliveries are still happening. We are collaborating closely with Ngāti Ngāpui. Like tomorrow they then deliver pack deliveries, and they'll be overlapping into our area. But we alternate our weeks up here. So one week they'll deliver, the next week we'll deliver. So we're ensuring our people sort of get the products if they have a need. Both us and Ngāpui and Ngāti Papu people who do deliveries, they do notice that some of the people are quite hakama and accepting a little bit, but we talk them around into it by saying if you don't need it now, you may know whānau out there that need it, and based on that, they're willing to take it and share it out amongst the community. Yes, there has been positives up here. One is our close relationships now with a whole lot of with the other iwi up here, with Ngāpui and also Ngāti Hini and Ngāti Wai. So those links have strengthened because we basically sharing our resources to ensure the people in our rohi are fed and looked after. One of the other interesting outcomes is the marae's, or some of the marae's I know of, are looking at self-sufficiency after the COVID-19, about like gardens and maybe nurseries. So they are starting to look past COVID-19 and where to from here. They appreciate the help they get from the government, but if they can maintain their money and go self-sufficiency, then they'd rather go down that pathway. It's awesome to see the work that's been happening in Patiharikiki with especially with our full Paikia from Ultimatia. He's got an amazing amount of networks, and he helps a lot of people over there, and he's very appreciative of the help he gets from Ngāti Whātua and other organisations. But he's got the networks. He's brilliant. Yeah, that's me for now.
Kia ora, Pat. And just let whānau know that we're not just working with our Māori organisations as well. So it's awesome to see full Paikia start to work with some of the church groups and the the Man Up group. So just getting it done. It was cool to see. Kia ora. Hey, we're going to move on to Te Are. Kia ora, Te Are.
Oh, kia ora.
Kia ora.
Ko Māori e koutou. Yeah, not much has changed, but things are moving in the same old spaces that we're finding exist at this time. In particular, the feedback, we're still reaching out, and again, just to clarify and and to remind everyone, we're more coordinating than we are actually putting service out into the community, and that's where our relationship with Te Hauora has just been gold up until now. Yeah, in essence, it would appear as though we're doing nothing if it weren't for Te Hauora being able to connect the dots for us. What we are doing is fielding through the calls. Those are still coming through. That's still the same. What's changing is that in that space is that whānau less and less are not asking for kai, but they are asking for a connection to service. So, for example, we've had a few calls around mental health and well-being. Again, Te Hauora, if they couldn't provide that service on tap, they certainly referred our whānau to the services that they need. There's been tangihanga requests also as far as Nelson to get some whānau back up north. So that was a referral made across to Haven Falls Potama, who helped that whānau out. So yeah, there's a shift in what our whānau are actually needing right now. Naturally, devices have gone off our radar as the kids are getting closer to returning to school. And there's some probably more granular needs like clothes for babies, that sort of thing. I think what the landscape is telling us is that expenses are starting to mount up, and yeah, the typical purchases are starting to become more expensive, especially for our young families. So we're continuing to connect where we can there, and Donna, Marama and Whaiket have been amazing in that space. So ngā mihi atu kia rātou. Matua Snow and I managed to attend a employment workshop online. It was quite a huge group under Auckland Council to really look at what's to come in the pending months around the economic recovery, but specifically what looks to be our needs in our employment space generally across all primary industries throughout the nation. We got some really good intel around the breakdown of what it looks like for job losses. And, you know, an example was Air New Zealand, and how many in the age bracket of, say, 18 to 24 actually lost their jobs since lockdown began, and what that means in terms of transitioning that workforce across into something that's transferable. So we got some really good intel out of that. And yeah, walked away with a level of confidence of what that could mean to our rural communities, and how we need to gear up for those shovel-ready positions and the like. Like everybody, we're all Zooming all over the show, and we're all, so I'm finding I'm actually busier at home than I am in the office. I can't wait to get back there. So I'm still catching up on those notes, and I'll get the recording and get that out to everybody. I'm just waiting for Southern Initiative, who ran that workshop, to get that across to us, because no doubt everyone will find some real value in that. Nā maunga whakahi and Hauora wanting us as an operational team to shift a bit quicker and with a bit more purpose, particularly in our marae community space. And so tribute to Ants and Boyd for framing up our local initiative with our marae in the South Kaipara. And those weekly hui, I think we're up to our third now. So as part of that, we're wanting to give some supports to our kaimahi on the ground for those out-of-pocket expenses. So that's working its way through with Hauora at the moment. One of the ideas that came up, and I know there's some challenges for some of our whānau in the Kaipara and the remote areas, is having freezer capacity. I think it was Marama that raised this issue. And whilst we might have meat pack deliveries, whānau don't necessarily have the space to freeze them. So we're trying to figure out some options around that, and we haven't actually gone to our marae yet, but if that means Hauora might be able to somehow get some freezers to put somewhere, so we can deliver that out in ration packs, so whānau can manage that delivery, then that's what we'll try and do. So we're looking into that right now, and I'll have more feedback on that next week, in the next 2 weeks. Nā maunga whakahi, the Community Awareness and Preparedness Grant Fund. I'm just working on a set of comms right now, just to reach out to our local marae, some of our marae across the nation actually who aren't in a position to apply for that grant, how we might be able to umbrella and not necessarily access it for the typical kai, but for the infrastructural stuff like publishing. It could be to put plans together and those out-of-pocket expenses as well. So that's an effort that Ngā Maunga really want us to push and access the full entitlements that we can while they're on offer. CDEM, or Civil Defence Emergency Management, they have a grant at the moment that Cyril Howard sent out from Tyndall Foundation. I think most of our iwi reps here might have received that. So again, it is about the marathon and not the sprint. And we want to see what the long-term supports that can help us get our whānau over the line throughout the whole recovery journey, not just the next couple of months. And I know that's discussions that we've all had under the runganga for a few weeks now.
Aye, kia ora, Brett.
Yeah, other than that, yeah, I'm going on for someone who didn't have much to report. I think you're going to touch, Ants, on the kaimahi that we're meeting weekly a little bit more. Hauora are pushing out some surveys next week because we want to get some vision on our unemployment. We're totally acknowledged that there's some of our whānau that didn't have employment going into COVID. We want to reach out to those whānau too, but we want to get a true understanding of what are our needs out there, particularly our transferable skills. Survey Monkey, however, we are planning on making that a Survey Monkey survey, but it is dependent on the response rate. We need our whānau as best they can to respond when the survey comes out next week. Not just about employment, but home repairs. Sam Henry from Te Puni Kōkiri, I had a chat with him last week, and just as an FYI, he's really wanting to reach out to Kaipara because he acknowledges that he hasn't as part of the home repairs strategy under TPK. They are coming to the end of their financial year, May end, but he's asked me to message if any of us have identified whānau who have repair needs for their homes, reach back to Sam Henry at TPK right now. And he's working on about 3 projects for me right now to help some of our whānau that really need that help. Other than that, our office is still closed until Monday next week. Our kaimahi are returning on a rostered schedule, so we're in 4 different bubbles. everyone's in 2 bubbles each sort of thing. So we're going to be in the office at least 2 days a week. We are closed to Manuhiri at the moment, but our phone lines are open and being redirected to mobile phones and stuff like that. But our next shift in effort is really about pouring on those long-term supports. And through the collective, there's our iwi meet that we're having every couple of weeks. Yeah, there's a bit of slow traction happening right now, but the next hui, we should get some more clarity around what are those long-term supports tangibly.
Cool. And that's cool to get some clarity around some of the operational stuff. And just to support what Terry was saying, there's a collective in Te Awaroa now of operational people on the front line who are in the community. You fellows know who you are. And it was really designed to fill the gaps, identify where there were areas of need and to get those needs filled really quickly. And just want to thank everyone in Te Awaroa. I know it's been a bit of a long journey, and the really cool thing is, we're getting along and we're just getting it done at the end of the day. So yeah, kia ora, my bro. Thank you for that.
Can I just add one last thing, Ants, just before I go? And I think it's
I don't know, it's going to cost you.
Okay. do you take community service card? No, what I was just going to add is it's not so much a struggle at the moment and within our space of Ngāti Whātua, but it is a reality around our data sovereignty. And so ngā maunga whakahi, we're having discussions in the background because whānau have their integrity, they have their dignity, and they have their pride. And so for ngā maunga or whiti ora, and I can speak for both, I have a foot in both camps, it's not for us to go out and try to identify who's who out in community that has a need so that we can better service, because the messaging we're receiving is that whānau want to remain unidentified, and they have that right. So I'm messaging this now because some of the work we're doing in the background with our boards is to create a data sovereignty policy that at a minimum our marae and our marae communities and whānau can consider, and they can take full sovereignty of their information, especially now when information can be just thrown around and you don't even know. So I just wanted to make that a point tonight, that we're working on that to keep everyone safe.
Kia ora, bro. Thank you for that. Just moving along, Rangi Māori Hunya is running a bit late tonight. She's at another hui. Unless she's tapped in, Pania, has she tapped in? Not yet, eh? So what we're going to do is I want to move over to Tyrone. And right, I guess Tyrone, it's been an interesting 3 days, and I'll pass the tukutuku over to you.
Kia ora, yeah, hey, look, if I can, we started off this kōrero away at the beginning, around about 7 weeks ago, and was full of energy and full of ways and strategies to kind of work through this. And since the announcement came out on Monday, it's just kind of really set us back, and it's quite disappointing to say the least, that government is once again trying to control the tikanga and how we conduct ourselves on our marae. And so the language I might use tonight is a little bit more frank. I'll do my best to maintain professionalism, but I'm just going to give it to you straight, whānau, that that the time now moving into level 2 continues to have adverse effects on particularly Māori, and we're working. I've said this every time we've spoken, that we're working really hard in the background, and today was one of those examples where we've had to really push to get some shift in those developing the policies or developing the regulations, and it's loosened somewhat for level 2, but really what's disappointing is that there's a mistrust in whether Māori can manage their marae and their kaupapa around tangihanga. That's a thing for me. As the chairperson for Te Uri o Hau, as the chairperson
Oh, okay. No, take
for Oruawharo, along with the chairperson for Te Uri o Hau, and our chair for the Rūn. It was very clear in our messages today that we will not be dictated to when it comes to this practice of tikanga. And the letter that has been sent out to, or that has been sent on to the Prime Minister has also been put up on our Facebook page, and is also an open letter press release on behalf of the Runanga. We have attempted to try and make contact with our different ESGs, and so some of us are up to play as to what's happening in the space. Basically, what we're saying is ma Māori a Māori e manaki. It's now at a point where we have to be upfront and say this is how we're going to conduct ourselves as Ngāti Whātua, and that's really where we've come to in terms of tangihanga. Level 2 has been passed from pillar to post since Monday's announcement, which began with a restriction on 10 people. And you are allowed to take your tūpapaku back to your marae as long as there were safe procedures in place, high standard of hand hygiene and social distancing. On Monday, that number wasn't to change. It was going to be 10 people that entire time at a marae, and you also were able to take them back to tūpapaku, back to the whare. Tuesday, the story changed to there can be groups of 10 if attending a tangihanga at a marae. They have to come in groups of 10 and only 10 in the whare tupuna at one time, or on the marae at one time, which meant there had to be a revolving kind of door where 10 come in, pay their respects and leave, and then the next 10 come in. Realistically, from a industry perspective, the controls around keeping people safe in a funeral home is whānau are allowed to view in groups of 10 for half an hour, but the booking is for 3 hours. And the reason for that is after every group of 10, we're expected to clean down every surface and every doorway and everything that whānau might come into contact with before we bring in the next group of 10. Now, if we've got 5 groups of 10 coming in one day, that's a lot to expect of our marae to manage. And so that was yesterday's announcement, to do this rolling 10. As most of you are aware, some of our disappointment comes from the allowance of pubs being able to open, the allowance of different events allowed to happen with people from different bubbles up to the numbers of 100. And there's an example down on the viaduct holding a festival over the weekend who has been granted that ability. And then there's things like the mall where everyone can go to freely. However, things such important things such as tangihanga have been restricted. So again, through last night, you would have also, some of you may be made aware of the legislation around the, help me out, please, Ants, the public health response to COVID-19. And there was a section in there that allowed powers for the police to enter onto any property, private or otherwise, including marae, without a warrant if they had reason to think that there's a large gathering, and they were able to enforce that as law. That went through 2 readings yesterday, and the last one was today. I understand that the word marae was taken out of today's reading. And so I'm just sharing this with you so you can look this up and update yourself around the information that's coming at us quite hard and fast. So based on that, on the fact that there's an idea that we as Māori cannot be trusted to manage the safety of our whānau, it's really, really important to highlight that at the beginning of COVID-19, Māori had the best and most rapid response to this pandemic than anyone else in the country. That's reflected in the numbers Māori are showing as people who have contracted the virus. So none of us want to die. We know how to keep ourselves safe. This is really about how we manage that and how we, what we need to put in place is best practice to work in the best interest of our whānau. So today's announcement, again, changed after a lot of angry phone calls and probably a couple of angry emails, but there was a shift to level up to 50 people at a time, and that's at marae or at a home for tangihanga. The excuse being used around this is that whānau are highly emotional, and this is an emotionally charged event, significant to people, and so they're going to hug each other, they're going to embrace each other, and that's how this could possibly be contracted. I just want to highlight here that there's a reoccurrence in 3 places around the world. I think it's South Africa, Canada, and another place, and they those reoccurrences of COVID-19 began at a funeral home. So it didn't begin at the tangihanga, but it began at the funeral home. So it's really about how we manage cleaning down every surface after every whānau that comes through, and that's what we're working through I'm working through with Te Urioho, through Anthony and the Runanga, of course. Anything else, Ans?
Yeah, just to support what Tyrone's talking about. I think last week we were under the understanding of certain protocols. It was changed on Monday, changed on Tuesday. We got to today and it was changed again. There's been a lot of pressure, as Tyrone said, on the Crown, especially the MOH, to not relax the policy, but to be fair. And I think, this is the part, and the letter will be online, if not already, on our Runanga Facebook page. It's quite a damning letter to the Crown, addressed to the Prime Minister in person. And it highlights how untrusted Māori have been treated on this one take. And to support Tyrone, you'll see he's a bit tired at the moment, a lot of long hours last night to get it right. Where to from here? We're currently redeveloping now because the goalpost changed. We are redeveloping a best practice standard. And this is a recommended standard to send out to marae. It's not you must do this, this is a recommendation. As always, the final decision stays with the marae. What we will be doing to support those best practice standards is supporting marae when there is a tangihanga with cleaning materials. Oh, kia ora, Boyd. Oh, look, he kept it because he knew what was coming next. So through Te Ha, we're going to stock up on cleaning materials, disinfectants, etc. To assist with marae clean down. We're also going to assist with PPE gear. Bro, you better get that pen out. I just added you a new shopping list. So detergents and cleaning gear, PPE gear. Marae also going to have to think about track and tracing. One of the key things is, and this will belong with the marae, we'll have to set up some methodologies around track and tracing, making sure that you've got names and contacts of everybody that attends to make sure that, the marae is in a safe space. And if there is anything that flows on, even a second wave, you've got the data or you've got the information to pass on to the health professionals. On top of that, maintaining physical distancing, not just in marae, if you decide to, take your tūpapaku in the marae for an hour or so, but also down at the urupa. And finally, having good hygiene practices, hand washing, etc., really important. This is a whole new way of thinking at the moment. So we're developing this with Tyrone and the Undertakers Association, and also with the Runanga. We don't want to say, do as you please. What we want to say is make a decision based on this, the information at hand. And at the end of the day, it's still up to the marae, the kawa, the tikanga, the kaupapa stays with the marae. All the Runanga and through Te Ha are going to do and make recommendations and then support those recommendations with product, etc. You'll see in the letter, I don't know, is that enough, Tyrone? Because the longer I talk, it's like a little cash register that just keeps on going off in my head. And I want to keep quiet, but at the same time, we need to make sure that we're in a safe space. So again, it's completely up to marae on how you run your tangihanga process and protocols, but we're there to support, and we need to be there to support.
And to add to that, it's completely up to marae whether they want to open at level 2. This isn't about telling you got to open, but there are ways we can open our marae that are safe, that we can manage, and we have been able to manage a tangihanga for many years, for thousands of years or hundreds of years, before having to adapt the way in which we do things. And it's by the crisis where we learn many of those lessons. such as the pandemic, which is often referred to in 1918, and we take this seriously as Māori, you know, and so what we're saying as an iwi is our treaty partner needs to take us seriously, and so this isn't about saying, okay, marae, you can open up and we're going to give you the guidelines. I'm happy to provide further support with whether it's with your committee or with the person that's going to be responsible for sharing the information out. Most of our marae have Facebook pages, and so a lot of that can be built into our marae COVID-19 response plans. Most of us have them. Some of us are still working on what that looks like. But know this, that you have great support from a range of experienced people in the industry to ensure that we're doing this in a safe way. And two, we are paying honour to those whānau who are hurting at the moment. And so that's really it. And for us at the moment, unless you had anything.
I've also got heaps of things. What I'm going to do, whānau, Rangi Māori has just joined us, so I'm going to pass over to her, and then we're going to go through the Q&A. And if you've got any other questions, remember, chuck them in the chat, and Boyd will go through them as to time at the end of the night. Kia ora, Rangi Māori, piana.
Pai roa atu, tēnā koutou katoa, my hair's a little bit frazzled. Sorry about that, whānau. Are we giving an update, Ants? Just give me a little couple of lines.
The usual.
So, kia ora whānau, Rangi Māori Hunia, Ngāti Whātua Rākei. So I'm going to give you an update about our COVID response. We have kind of moved into a level 3, level 2 kind of program of work, and there's 3 things that we're going to focus on. The first one is around maintaining our health gains. So we think, without a doubt, our whānau have taken this really seriously and have done all of the right things, and really what we want to be able to do over the winter period as we move into winter is maintain those gains. So we've got a program of work that is based on being able to maintain that. The second thing that we are doing is really what we've called Hiki Wairua, version 2.0. And so what we have found is that one of the best things that we could have possibly done is reached out to all of our whānau. And so we have used a whole lot of social media platforms, and we have ramped up all of our kind of kaupapa around reo, kaupapa around webinars around mental health, mental well-being and the like, and also just being able to provide a whole lot of support around the educational space. So I've just come off a call just now. Today we've had a conversation, we've had webinars with 300 of our families today, and that was really around providing support for provision of Chromebooks. Problem that we had, and I think I shared this at the last update, up to 50% of our kids have not had the tools to be able to engage in this online environment that COVID has put a pressure on. The schools were struggling to be able to provide support, and the parents have been rightfully concerned about the inability of their children to have equity in this space. So we are looking at distributing 350 Chromebooks, and those are likely to be out no later than Monday across Aotearoa. So that's part of our kind of, that's part of this Hiki Wairua 2.0. The other part that we, the third part of what we're doing is really moving into, it's the next wave, which is around economic recovery and mental wellness. We think, without a doubt, that there's going to be a whole lot of rebuilding needed to revive livelihoods, and education is a huge part of that, actually, but equally so too is mental wellness, making sure that people are able, most people have had a shock of some form. In our view, 65% of the population has kind of felt the shock, and now what we're trying to understand is how do we support them to be resilient through this next phase. And I think some of the kōrero that Tyrone talked about is actually how are our marae resilient, how are our whānau resilient, how are our tamariki resilient through this. And so really focused on that part there. I think that the piece, Ants, that would be really great is that I just think the opportunity for us to have a collective approach to this is just really outstanding. So I do want to acknowledge all the work that Te Ha's doing. I do want to acknowledge all the coordination work that South Kaipara has been doing. Pat, with the work that we've been able to kind of connect with you and Whangarei and Te Roroa as well. We will be stronger through this if we can continue that momentum. And so I think that the piece that I do want to offer up is that the council, Auckland Council has, or is about to, or in the next couple of days, there's up to $100,000 per entity that can apply for funding for the COVID response. And so really, you know, how do we mobilise as Ngāti Whātua and as Te Roroa to be able to work together on some of those things, because across the six of us, that's nearly $500,000 that we can really we can make some massive impact on, I think. So that's enough for me, whānau. I'm sorry I'm late. But I'm happy to answer any questions.
Oh, kia ora, rangi Māori. Yep, and just to support that too, I think we're getting real close to a lot of economic recovery programs, etc. So yeah, definitely. So kia ora whānau, you know, I know it's been a bit of a long, 7-8 weeks now. We're coming towards the tail end, hopefully, if there's no second wave of C19. So just to reaffirm before we go into the Q&A, tomorrow night in the Marae Zui, we're going to float the first draft of the recommendations or best practice recommendations for tangihanga level 2. And again, you know, we'll go over that in a bit more detail. At the same time, there are other economic recovery initiatives that are taken off. We're part of Te Kahu o Taonui, which is the iwi chairs in Taitokerau, and we're working on some recovery plans there. There's a whole lot of things that, you know, Te Roroa are part of, Te Uri o Hau, Patuara Kiki Parafo, and Orake, and Ngā Maunga. And like Rangi Māori just said, you know, it's the collaboration or the culmination of how we do things as kia kotahi tātou as one, that I think is going to make us stronger. So, you know, thank you, whānau, for coming on tonight. Boyd, question time.
There's not too many questions. I've chucked up our...
Good to be early.
Yeah, I've chucked up our phone number and our Facebook page, which people have been engaging on. So whānau have been messaging our staff via the Facebook page to get support. That's still happening. There's questions about marae opening. I think Ants has already touched on that. So we've got some hygiene packs for the marae, but we're definitely looking at having a supply of PPE available for at the marae, having some printed guidelines as well about contact tracing, and have just resourcing our marae to make sure we can do. And this is for the foreseeable future until there's a vaccine. This is not going to be this way forever. So it's just about ensuring we have the contact tracing capability at the marae, and the hygiene practices are well known. And I think Tyrone covered nearly everything to do with tangihanga. So thank you, Tyrone, again. And we can all see you're very, very tired. I think everyone is. And the other question was, well, it's everyone just praising Tyrone and saying, "Kia ora, Tyrone, you're awesome."
Stop it.
Stop it. But yeah, if there's whānau that need support, please offer them our details, or if they give you permission, you can get in touch with us on their behalf, and we can offer our support that way, rather than them being whakamā, because we do know that's still an issue that we need to address. I think also we have some pamphlets about our new services. I can send them out soft copy. I thought we had printed some hard copies for distribution, but I will get them. I will follow that up tomorrow with my ops manager, and definitely get some ready for distribution, because we've still got our services, all our different services available, our business as usual, but also trying to reach into the same, the determinants of health, which is probably where health should have been a decade ago. So at the housing end, at the education end. We are, I think, from Facebook and YouTube.
So, just to add for the education end, I think Boyd said earlier we've been in touch with Hittergage in the Taitokero and Roger Jolly in Tāmaki. So we are, well, Te Hā is distributing some devices. What we are doing is working in with MOE. They've got orders on tap. So if there are still whānau out there that haven't got a device, let us know, and also find out from the school what level they are and what current transit the devices for their school are in. And that means, you know, if it's going to take another 2 months, what a waste of time that is. We do have the capability to get devices, and what's really been interesting is there's schools on the kaipara that have got their devices, and the ones that haven't, we've been able to work with those in need first, which is really cool. So we're hitting the mark, or hitting, you know, the gaps, and that's what I just want to hint on right now. There are still gaps, and like I said in previous hui, well, you don't know what you don't know until you know. So please, by all means, let us know. It doesn't mean give me a bit of a serve on the phone, but yeah, let us know. And, you know, if we don't deliver or don't serve to deliver on time, by all means, give me a kick up the butt. But, you know, we'll endeavour to get what resources are needed to the right places at the right time to the right people. Kia ora.
Yeah, I think that was it. And just to reinforce what Tyrone was saying, that Te Taitokero especially are experts at physical distancing. That's why we put up the roadblocks, to keep people away from us. So it's really condescending to have those kind of comments from the ministry and the government directed at us. And so we're very proud of the runanga and the other runanga sending a letter to advocate how belittling their behaviour has been in the last couple of days. From the very start, to be honest. But I think that is all the questions. I just chucked in too much Rangi Māori because I was just getting tired of seeing all the praise directed at Tyrone. So I just added some more praise there for Rangi Māori. And my advice is, if you've got a child without a device, find their whakapapa to orake. Kia ora whānau. We'll give it to you, Eds.
Ai, whakamutunga te hui tēnei pō. Kia ora tātou whānau, kua tāro ki te wā, kia tuku atu o tātou zui i tēnei pō, o reira kia tautarangi Māori, kia tātou katoa. Kia noa tātou. E te māngai, e ngāne hirapono, e te tukutori tapu. Kia tātou mono ki koutou, kei wānganui, e tātari ngā kupu katoa, me whakaotingo mai o tātou matunui te rangi, te matua, te tama, te warua tapu, me ngāne hirapono, me te māngai, ai. Kia ora tātou whānau. Ai, mauri ora.
Puatara.
O kei a pōpō.